What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Mustang, and it's that time of the year where we will have to switch our phones up to the latest iPhone 15 here. So I do have the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I got myself the natural titanium color, which I'm actually very excited to check out. And of course, in today's video, as a Android user for most of my life, I'm going to share with you guys why I'm actually very excited to check out this phone. So yes, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, so we're going to start off with the unboxing side of things over here, and what I like and don't really like about this is that once you peel this off, that kind of virginity when it comes to the phone does go away with this, because once you pull this off, there's no turning back. So that's what we're going to do right now. And there was the moment of silence. So take this off. So as you can tell, it's a very similar packaging which we have gotten since the iPhone 12s. So very simple packaging, just the box as it is. Very nice color, which we will check out in a little bit. And the first thing that is of course really interesting and really fun, especially if you have been an Android user for a long time, is that you don't really need to change your cables, because right now with the iPhone 15 series we are using a USB-C. So here we do have a nice braided cable here, USB-C to USB-C, finally on an iPhone. I would never imagine in my lifetime that I would actually get to say that. And of course, other things we have, the typical stuff. We have the stickers, we have all this warranty stuff here. And yeah, this is pretty cool. And also we have the SIM injector tool, the tool that we will have to use later to put my SIM card into this phone and use it as my daily driver. Of course, one of the main struggles when it comes to going to the iOS side of things. So here we have it, and of course, being the eco-friendly company that Apple is, they gave us a paper screen protector over here instead of the usual plastic. And as you can tell from the back here, this is the second major thing that they have come out with for the iPhone 15 series, especially for the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. So right here we have the natural titanium. So yes, you have heard it right. We are using a titanium now on our phones. This is of course only exclusive to the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. So I gotta say, yeah, it looks really premium indeed. And they also gave us some curved bezels on the sides here compared to previous iPhones and previous years. And also, first thing I want to highlight to you guys is of course the action button, which of course now is going to replace the mute switch on previous iPhones. Again, I'm not exactly sure why a lot of reviewers or a lot of people are hyping this up. This button here, basically you can program it to do whatever you want. Again, if you've been using a lot of Android phones before, you will know that you have the power button, which you can do the same exact thing anyway. So Apple is just giving you an extra button, which I don't know. I don't even understand why people are hyping it so much. But yeah, you can actually do it. You can turn on the torchlight, you can turn on the camera. Again, this might sound very familiar for you Android people, because you've already been having that feature on your phones for the past few years anyway. So I just want to turn on this phone, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright, so here we go with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So we can go on first thing here to the action button, which again, like I mentioned before, a lot of people are just hyping it up as some new thing that Apple has introduced to the world. And we can see here we have the silent mode, which you can do it for your phone, you can make it to a torch, camera, focus, voice memo, which I think would be really interesting, shortcuts over here, app shortcuts, or magnifier. So you can choose which one you want it to be. So you can just say, like, if you want to use for your torchlight, turn on the extra light, which you would already have on your home screen anyway on the bottom here. So you got to do is just like double tap, and then it gets the job done. But of course, if you don't want to be like those hipsters and you want to use the back action button here, all you need to do is just click on it and hold on to turn on, and hold on to turn off. So yeah, pretty straightforward over here, and that's what you can get with one of the main things here from your latest iPhone. Of course, there are certain things that comes with this phone. Again, the back tab, which a lot of people are not talking about it anymore. And of course, the main thing I want to talk about when you're moving on to an iPhone is of course the Face ID, because for most Android phones you will have your fingerprint unlock or something else like that, but here we are only given the Face ID over here, which some people might argue is a little bit more secure. And also you have your normal unlock as well, which I wouldn't like because it's all numerical. You don't have like a pattern or something like that. So that's one thing again you need to consider. And of course, when you look at this gorgeous display over here, it is a really great display. So over here we have your nice AMOLED panel, 120 Hz and all that. But of course, when it comes to Apple, they have their fancy name for it. So we call it the Super Retina XDR display, which we have seen previously before. But of course, the major upgrade with this is that the peak brightness can go up all the way to 2000 nits. So that's amazing. Of course, this phone over here does come with a nice massive 6.7-inch display, which I think is more than adequate for most people. And of course, one thing you gotta consider here is of course the pill-shaped notch on the top here. So I wouldn't call it a notch anymore because it used to be called a notch. This is called the dynamic island. Of course, there are only a few apps that actually make full use of this. For me, to be honest, I don't find it to be very useful, but we're gonna see with iOS 17 and in the latest phone over here whether they will kind of make it a little bit better. Especially, I hate it, especially when you're watching shows and a big portion of your skin gets really cut out, but we are going to see with this phone. So anyway, other than that, like I mentioned before, when it came to the build quality here, we have this ceramic shield on the front. It is made up of your Corning Gorilla Glass, and on the back here as well, very nice titanium build, and all the framework on the sides here. It definitely feels much lighter than last year's 15 Pro and 14 Pro, and also the 14 Pro Max. So now let's move on to the next segment. And of course, the next segment that I do want to talk about here is the internal specs. So here we are given the latest chip from Apple here, the A17 chip, and this call it the A17 Pro. No more Bionic name, and yeah, I mean it's a very good chipset. The A15s and A14s has been really good. So no surprises here that with the A17 it's going to be very top notch, especially when it comes to gaming or whatsoever. You get of course good RAM management here as well, up to 6 gigs. Which of course is really full, and yeah, I mean this is all the top end stuff you're gonna get with the 15 Pro Max as you would expect. And of course, one thing I do want to highlight to you guys is of course the storage. The base storage on this does come with 256 gigs, which is much better compared to the previous phones where they would give you 128. This phone here does start off at a very steep price at 64.99 ringgit Malaysia. So that is almost 1,000 ringgit more, about $200 more than your S23 Ultras, which is pretty crazy because the storage you can get is about half of it. So, you guys do the maths. So, next thing we're gonna move on here is the battery. And here we have a slight upgrade when it comes to battery, which we would touch a little bit. So the battery wise for this does come with a 41 milliamps of battery. And what is interesting about this, more importantly, is the fact that this phone here does come with your reverse wireless charging. And also you can turn on your battery mode, your battery percentage, and they have enabled another new feature here where you can only charge up your phone up to 80% to help with the battery health, for which we have seen some problems with previous phones. So that again, you may have seen it on your previous Android phones, but it is finally here with your iOS 17 device here, the Apple 15 Pro Max. And of course, last but not least, the major thing here about having an iPhone is of course those cameras. So starting with the selfie shooter, we have a nice same 12 megapixel sensor here, f1.9, and it can record up to 4K at 60 FPS. And of course, if we switch it on all the way to the rear cameras over here, we have the triple camera setup. We have the 48 megapixel main lens. We also have the 12 megapixel telephoto lenses, which they are of course trying to hype up again when it comes to the zoom, because now you can go up for up to 5 times and 10 times of optical zoom. And also we do have another 12 megapixel ultra wide lens here as well, and again you can record up to 4K at 60 fps. So in terms of the camera settings here, as you can see, we have the 5 times option here for the zoom, 2 times as well. The 2 times does use the main lens, and it's pretty interesting how they will be able to still capture very crispy images while using the main lens. And of course you have your super famous cinematic mode, slow-mo, portraits, and the panorama. Not much when it comes to features, but yeah, still does give you a nice set of cameras. Alright guys, so that is it with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys want to see with this phone here in my usage. And of course, if you guys like this video and want to see more of this type, do click the like and smash that subscribe button down below. If you guys want to follow me on my socials, you can do so on my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and also here on YouTube at Dr. Hamstek. And I'll see you guys in the next one.